Picture the scene. Roman soldiers driving nails through flesh. A crowd gathered below, shouting insults, mocking, laughing, religious leaders watching with satisfaction. And in the middle of all that cruelty, Jesus opens his mouth and says something no one expected. "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do." Not a curse, not a cry for justice. Forgiveness. The very first words spoken from the cross reveal something extraordinary about the heart of God. Even while enduring unimaginable physical agony, even while being publicly humiliated and slowly dying, Jesus was interceding for the very people causing his suffering. This was not weakness. This was the most radical act of love the world had ever witnessed. And it was intentional. It set the tone for everything that followed. Hanging beside Jesus were two criminals, both condemned, both dying. One joined the crowd in mocking him. But the other did something unexpected. He rebuked the first criminal, acknowledged his own guilt, and then turned to Jesus with a simple, desperate request. "Remember me when you come into your kingdom." He had no good deeds to present, no years of faithful service, no religious record, no second chance at a better life. He was hours away from death. And yet Jesus responded with one of the most breathtaking promises in all of Scripture. "Today you will be with me in paradise, not someday, not maybe, today." This moment shattered every human idea about earning salvation. The thief brought nothing except belief, and that was enough. Salvation has never been about what a person can do. It has always been about what Jesus already did. Then came the words that have confused people for centuries. Darkness covered the land, the atmosphere shifted, and from the cross came a cry that shook the very foundations of theology. My God, why have you forsaken me?" People have wrestled with this for generations. Was the Father abandoning the Son? Was there a moment of divine separation? Many read this verse and stopped right there, missing something absolutely critical. Jesus was quoting Psalm 22, a passage written by David roughly 1,000 years before the crucifixion. When Jesus spoke those opening words, every Jewish listener who knew their scripture would have immediately recognized the reference. And when you read Psalm 22 in full, it describes the crucifixion in stunning detail, the pierced hands and feet, the mocking crowd, the casting of lots for clothing. Jesus was not expressing confusion or despair in isolation. He was pointing directly to a fulfilled prophecy unfolding in real time. The cross was never an accident. It was the centerpiece of a plan written long before any of them were born. As the hours passed and the moment drew near, Jesus spoke 3 words that carry more weight than perhaps any other words in human history. "It is finished." In the original Greek, this was a single word, tetelestai. It was a word used in the ancient world when a debt had been completely paid, stamped across financial records to indicate nothing more was owed. When Jesus declared "it is finished," he was not announcing defeat. He was announcing completion. The entire sacrificial system, every lamb offered, every altar built, every high priest who entered the Holy of Holies, all of it had been pointing toward this single moment. The debt of sin that humanity could never repay on its own had been settled, fully, permanently. Nothing could be added to what he accomplished. No religious effort, no personal achievement, no amount of good behavior could improve upon what was finished at that cross. With his final breath, Jesus spoke one last time, "Father, into your hands I commit my spirit." Even at the very end, there was no panic, no despair, only complete trust in the Father. Because the cross was never the end of the story. 3 days later, the tomb stood empty. What looked like the darkest moment in history became the foundation of the greatest hope humanity has ever known. Every word Jesus spoke from the cross carried eternal weight. Forgiveness for enemies, salvation by faith, prophecy fulfilled, a debt paid in full, and a spirit surrendered in perfect trust. These were not the words of a defeated man. They were the words of a king completing his mission. And because of those words, everything changed.